I would like to call the meeting to order at 7:35 p.m. on Monday, June 16th. And in 2 days, it's going to be, no, it's Thursday. Thursday is going to be Juneteenth. I like that. Michael will not be here in the office. That's going to be observed as a holiday, government holiday, but Waste Management will be in action. They will be keeping their regular schedule on Thursday. And just as an aside, before we get started, the speed bumps are in on Turner Lane. The signs are up, and they did a fantastic job. Wow, I am excited.
Good.
Well, I'm glad someone is.
It was a long day. It was a long day, but we got it done. We got it done.
How many speed bumps on the one street?
3
3. Because I think we only have 2.
at different points.
Kudos
Yeah.
for doing that.
It was all the council. They've been wanting it and pushed it through. So
Yeah,
they get all the credit.
Thanks.
You know what, that's one reason I would not want to be a council member, because I'll tell you something, this is the most flack I've taken. This didn't come from Martin's Additions, it came from people that know me in Rollingwood. Well, why did you do that?
Well, what do they complain about? They don't
Yeah.
even live on the
I
street.
know,
don't
I
live
know,
in
but they
Turner
walk their dogs over there. I mean, they're the nicest people
So
you'll
it
ever
should be
want to
safer for
know.
them.
All of a sudden, they've come out of the woodwork, just like the people, that are trumpeters. My neighbors are that way. I mean, they're Trumpites, and they're the nicest neighbors and family in the world. So you never know. Anyway,
So do we
won't go
have,
there.
do we
That's-
have
that's off the record.
minutes to
Okay.
approve?
We are recording, Keith. It's not off the record.
Well, that might have to be that, 15 seconds or whatever. It's just like Nixon. Some of the Trump stuff. All right, we're gonna get started here. And after that, I think I better turn things over to Katie.
Don't worry, no one listens in it.
I'm only saying it because I know there's nobody on there tonight. They're all at the
No,
election
they're all
committee.
gone. They're all somewhere else.
All right, hi, David.
He's fired up tonight.
Hey,
everybody.
Hi.
I'm excited about the bumps though. Okay, but anyway, David, I want to start the meeting by saying what a fantastic event that you had planned, and that was really pretty much all you. And it was a rousing success, and it was great. And congrats on that. Thank you so much.
So, well, I mean, I appreciate that. It was my impression that not very many people showed up, but did we get a count on how many people attended?
Yeah, so thank you for all your legwork on that, David. It was really very seamless when we got there. The manager at the ice skating rink was lovely to work with. We had 8 people come out on skates, and then we had his family come out and join us to
Double
just
the
say
event
hello.
So, yeah.
So we had another 4 visitors, but yeah, 8 skaters. So not really a very large turnout. It was raining. What I would say is those who did come really enjoyed it. It was wonderful for the little kids, especially because many of them had their first time on the rink, and they had this
Aw.
they ended up giving us the large rink. I don't know if that was the plan or not, because there was kind of a little bit of a confusion at the rink about which one we were going to get. But they gave us the big one, and so these kids felt really safe. Like there was nobody pushing by. They got, they really got to practice safely. So that was nice. We ordered pizza. Erin was wonderful. It was so good having Erin. She's very organized and had all this signage prepared and tablecloths. And so we decorated the room a little gently, just to kind of make it a little colorful. And had pizza and some snacks and drinks, and that was it. And it was a wrap. I think though that it's worth asking, because it is a lot of work for 8 people. And it wasn't, and most likely we had low attendance because it was outside the village. People have, people who come with kids, their kids might have activities on weekends or birthday parties and things like that. So question is, should we go back to the village and ask them, is this something that you want us to do again? Or, is it worthwhile doing?
I think that doing a survey, asking people what kind of social events they might want is not a bad idea. I don't remember us ever doing that. And now that we've added these events that we think are good ones, and it just might take a couple years to get them going, or not pick a June weekend when people have weddings and graduations. And we had a ton of graduation stuff, and we ended up having a hockey tournament. And so some of that you're never going to avoid, but some of it is a June weekend is impossible. I think, because we really wanted to go, I know, and I know a friend of my son's wanted to go too, but, so let's put a survey together and ask people if you like these events, and then we can try to work on the dates if they like these events. But let's get a sense of it.
I mean, ideally, to me, it would be, we'd get people we'd use Eventbrite or something, sign up, Genius, wherever, to get people to sign up ahead of
Right.
time. And then if you don't have a certain amount of people, then,
Cancel.
you cancel.
That's not a bad
Um,
idea too.
But, I know that's really hard because we might, you would know more about this, David, but I don't know what the conditions of our deposit were and if that's an issue in terms of canceling at the last minute.
Yeah, this specific thing, they book out the rinks like many months in advance, and that was really kind of the issue that we were having. And I mean, it was uncancelable, and maybe we could have moved it forward, to some point in the future, but it would have been at least 3 months out. So, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think it's been great that we've tried additional events, and a lot of this is going to be a little trial and error, and maybe next time we either don't do the ice skating event rink, or we use a smaller rink, because they have 3 of them there, 2 largish ones and 1 small one, or maybe we don't do it at all. But I like the idea of maybe sending out a poll to the community, just seeing if the additional events that we added this year are something that the village would like to continue, and if not, maybe there's some other ideas out there.
Yeah,
And ask for ideas in the same survey.
I think so. And what I would be interested in is, if you didn't go, why didn't you go? Not, what do you think? Did you like this event? And then rate it.
Right.
Because most people are going to say no, because they didn't go, say
Right.
NA.
Right.
But to say, if you didn't go, why? And so we can really kind of try and figure that out.
Right.
Was it the distance? Was there conflict?
Why aren't you able to attend?
Yeah, it doesn't interest me,
Right,
just, I think that would be really helpful to
Mhm,
understand
for
for this
gauging.
committee.
Sure.
I'll mention that we do have a survey, an annual survey,
Right.
and we ask about every single event that happened in the previous
Oh, good.
fiscal year.
Okay.
So we will be doing the survey this fall and surveying for all of the events that happened this fiscal year, including the new ones. We'll add them in. And those are the last year we had an outside survey company come in and do this, and they set up a logic. So if you answered yes, I attended this event, then it
Mhm.
asks
Question,
follow-up questions.
Mhm.
And if you didn't, and you click no, then we could also ask follow-up questions.
That
for
would
that.
be
So-
the most helpful for us, if they can do that.
and some of that logic built into the online survey is what we can't do when we just do a survey or poll
Right,
ourselves. Sometimes that gets tricky. If this, then that statements.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, we can totally do that and ask maybe some questions of people that don't go as well as the people that do go.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too, because sometimes people don't remember which events they went to,
Right.
and so maybe you could just ask a follow-up question regardless, and I think there is an open question at the end of that section saying what type of events would you want and stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get comments in those
Yeah.
open boxes that aren't related to the specific thing.
Right.
People will
Fair
just
enough.
copy and paste the same comment about ethics, for example, on every single open box, which
Yeah.
just,
Ethics?
yeah, yeah. Exactly,
well,
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's
So-
a-
They're
that's
organized
for
campaigns that
another day.
happen.
But,
So
yeah.
the political issue of the day ends up just kind of making all the
Yeah.
data bad. So
Yeah.
we're trying to
Because it's kind of
direct
tricky.
people into, this is the very specific type of answer we're looking for here.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, and it is on the annual survey, but, it gets lost in the shuffle, like so many things. Maybe the CEC next year might, at the beginning of the year, kind of say, hey, we're doing kind of more of an informal survey. Could be email or on listserv or whatever, and you do whatever platform. Or also, to kind of, plan out the year, or maybe even like more exit interviews, like after an event, like
Mhm.
at the picnic,
Well, usually.
put
people
things on
go
the
have a good
table where
time.
people can
Mhm.
make their comments.
We tried doing that last year,
Oh,
Kate,
okay.
but the answer we got is, yeah, we love all of the
Okay,
events.
right.
And that, think about it, the ones who go are like,
Yeah.
"Oh, great."
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it's really the,
So, yeah, I mean, it's hard.
300 and
Which
whatever
we
number
were
that
happy to
didn't go.
hear, but.
That's okay. Yeah.
Part of
yeah.
the thing I've
Yeah.
learned about from other local government managers is, collecting data is really important, and
Mhm.
having a way to track that data,
Right.
and also turning it into a story. How can we start telling our story about a community that cares this much about putting on events? There's a lot of energy and a lot of money into events. How can we highlight that and talk about ourselves in a positive light? This, as Keith always says, this is the fun committee. So I do think there would be a way to start capturing the data in a more systematic way at the different events, especially the ones that are really good. A little
Yeah.
testimonial, a little, who you're here with. Why were you able to come to this event and not other events? That type of feedback. If there's a way to capture it, I think even just the number of people that come to events, I think is like an interesting thing, and how many unique people. And we can't really answer that question right now because we don't know. We're not keeping track of it. But like, how many different village residents came to at least one event this year?
Right.
Um,
Well, you could track that on the survey if everybody answers.
Right.
Yeah.
which is a percentage problem, but
Yeah.
and we get pretty good, response rates, but it's still not a full capture of it. So
Yeah,
But we're
but we
never
do
gonna
have you're right, we have a really vibrant community, and it
Yeah.
would be nice to brag a little bit about that.
yeah, and I think everyone's proud of it. I think
Show
the
some
council members,
snapshots.
know when the brunch has 300 people show up for a brunch on a Saturday morning or something. I think you see a lot of pride in that, but it would be nice to be able to tell it. I'm thinking about this because I'm rewriting some of our web pages right now for our new website that we're rolling out. It'd be nice to have updated pictures from our
Yeah.
recent events, and
Be nice to get the post to choose Modern's Editions for a profile.
yeah, and we do have Montgomery Municipal Cable that has highlighted us
Yeah,
multiple times
have,
and stuff,
yeah,
and
yeah.
some of their videos get thousands and thousands
Oh,
of
right,
views. So
right, yeah.
people do think about Martin's Editions as this kind of beautiful oasis little community over here. So yeah, there's opportunities if we started collecting that data
Yeah.
to highlight ourselves in a better light. So
Yeah. Good thinking.
And when does that survey typically go out?
that's a
Oh,
fall thing, and then
Like
it
September
takes a
fall,
while,
or-
and then
Oh.
we
Oh.
present it hopefully in November, but it
Yeah.
always seems to get pushed back.
So it's a
because of-
September, fill it out, but present
Correct.
it.
Yeah,
in-
that's
okay.
it,
That's
okay,
fine.
yeah.
um,
Yeah.
I think one of the, I think that's great. I think this committee has been awesome this year. We've had just, Keith, your leadership's great. Just your historic memory of all the different events and the way in which you engage with people we're so lucky to have that. And then all the new people who have been on this committee this year, it's been really fabulous. And support, right? The support we get from Kate, the cookies, the cake, the
Yeah.
support we get. I mean, Kate, you
The
came with your
liaison,
whole
yeah.
family.
Wow,
That was
thank
just
you.
like so amazing.
Yeah.
And Michael, you guys are so organized. So one of the things that we could do as a committee, maybe to help with this transition, is to just take the things that we organize, and just maybe put some documentation onto, send it to Michael. I don't know if you could store it for us, because I think sometimes there's a little bit of a scramble. Like I know that, thank you so much. You had the historic memory of how to contact artists for the
Oh, for the
sidewalk
sidewalk
event,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Small things like that. So who do
Yeah.
we contact? What are the
Mhm.
emails? So if we had like some folders for each event, it
Right.
might make it easier for the new committee coming
I mean,
up.
I do personally, I've been saving everything. So
Mhm.
like the
Me
list
too.
of, vendors for the celebration on the sidewalk election day, I have that list saved in my
Great.
folder. So that's all backed up and safe and everything. So I can
Great.
definitely share that with the next committee. I think along those lines though, having an end of the year report from you all with a little summary, it could even just be like a 1-page written report, because then that's something for the new committee when they come in, they can just read that and have a little summary on how all of the events went last year. The idea that the skating event was great and not that many people attended, and maybe here's why, or some advice.
I think
Hey,
that
Michael, is there a like an example of one that you've gotten either in years past from the CEC, or maybe another committee that does a great kind of year-end report that we could look at as like an example?
Absolutely, yeah, I can share the others with
template.
you. Last year, I put together a video and I actually interviewed Keith for it. That's on our page and on our YouTube channel. I think it's gotten like 50 views, which is way more than any of our other videos get. So I think Keith brought the crowd. Real crowd pleaser.
It
So,
doesn't have to
but
be much. It doesn't.
but
even
this
like
year, I
it.
think that
Yeah.
it was too much work for the result of a 16-minute long kind of boring video, to be honest with you. So I think we're just going to keep it a written report. But I'm asking this same question. I'm asking you all to write a little, summary of things. I'm asking it of all the committees. Is the point about it.
Right.
And the village council. Thinking about all the votes they took this year, and kind of looking at what went well and what could go better next year. So.
A little bit of feedback that I would love to incorporate into a report is, I think what works really well is when we have one person who's a designated lead on an event and who, for the committee. So apart from you, Michael, you're
you.
obviously
Yes.
always, like you and Aaron, always the point for the
Right.
village, and Kate and Susan, are liaisons, but who on the committee is the point for that specific event and who knows everything and who can then just kind of delegate it? Because I'll say the ice skating event, I didn't know anything about it. I hadn't been to any of the meetings, but David had it so well organized that it was really, and then we chatted just briefly before the event, and it was really easy to go and then do what we needed to do. So if we could do that for every event, I think it would make, the Avalon wasn't, we weren't as well prepared. Maybe we had a manager who didn't help us at the Avalon. That was the problem. But
And that is no fault of us. I think that was
It was
their
a challenge.
it was a challenge working with that manager.
Yeah.
So just if we can just have like that designated person, then it's so much, everything goes so much easier from there.
I think the summary can be really simple. I mean, the standing events are really good. And we had huge turnouts for
Right.
Celebration on the Sidewalk, the 4th of July, Halloween, and the community brunch. That's like 4 events that are like, we know they're good. Just keep rolling them out. The new events and the movie nights, I think, can use some tinkering or some more thought into each of those about what we liked and what we could do better next year. I mean, honestly, the Night of Lights was incredible. That was the best of the new events.
Yeah.
And the only thing that was maybe a challenge was the weather, which we can't control. So
Right.
I mean, Keith says he can control it, but I don't know.
Yeah, we question that.
The turnout was great. I
Such a
thought
great
the
idea.
Avalon was a lovely event.
Yeah.
I
But again, not
I
enough
enjoyed it, and
people.
we got super feedback from those who came.
Right, but again,
And
Same like-
sometimes it's just like, it really was nice. So
Mhm.
And I think the wine event, is worth trying still in the fall. I think, David put together a good plan for that, so we could try it and see how it goes. But I mean, those 4, 5, 6 events are definitely ones we want to bring back.
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah.
Night of Lights can be a staple and become part of the common rotation. And then we can
Yeah.
experiment with the others to try to improve them.
Yeah.
Night of Lights was great, and even in the rain. If
Yeah.
it had rain, we'd have probably had a lot more.
Yeah.
And maybe if we back
Mhm.
off, I think we had this idea that maybe we do an event a month. Maybe there's like, December and June are months that we could skip or something like that, because those just seem to be very busy,
Mhm.
or whatever months end up
Right.
we decide,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and just do 10 events instead of 12 or something like that. Because
Um,
we've added.
we've added a fair amount. And it's a lot for this committee,
It's a
right?
lot,
Because
yeah.
then we have to be available to facilitate
Right.
them, which we're not always all available.
Right.
I had to, anyone on this committee, I know Kate, you go to the little event on Chestnut last week that Debbie
Oh, the
Brown
block party.
organized.
Mhm.
It was, we spoke about it. It
Mhm.
was just so nice, so simple. Basically, one of our residents is in a band, a
Right.
really good band. And they played on his front porch, and they got a
Was that
food
Jimmy?
truck.
Jimmy Joyce.
Jimmy
yes.
Joyce, yeah.
Jim
and
and Jimmy Joyce.
They were
Jim and Jimmy
great.
Joyce,
And
I
so
love
many
it.
people just turned up. It happened to be a beautiful day. We just lucked out.
The Thursday, the 5th, I think,
June 5th.
June 5th, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know, I mean, I'm
My
sure.
neighbor, I didn't even know that they were doing that.
It seems
Yeah. He was on the
seamless to me,
listserv.
but I'm
Yeah.
sure
I
that
remember
Debbie
seeing
put a
it on
lot of
the
work into organizing it. She definitely had to get the
Yeah,
permits. the road-
we have the
Yeah.
block party process in place,
Yeah.
so, and I know
Right.
you've done that
You
for
did a
Shepherd
lovely block
before, and
party earlier this year too.
Yeah, we'll keep doing our block parties, but I wonder
Those are
what this
great.
committee can do to, somebody said to me, what we need is, we need block parties on every street, you know, what can, if there's something that maybe the committee can think next year about ways
Yeah.
in which to support those kind of events. It was just so nice.
there was
Yeah.
also a concept, or we talked briefly about the street captains and kind of revamping that program or evolving it into something else. The flyer distribution is just a chore that no one really seems to enjoy. And David actually came up with multiple good ideas, including
Yeah.
this new Zoom computer,
Great idea.
dedicated computer.
Thank you.
But he came up with an idea to, there's these mailing machines where you can just mail like invite postcards and
I'm
those
all
types of
about it,
things.
yes.
And so I'm looking
Yeah.
at doing that in the new fiscal year, which means we could just mail people invites to
Yeah.
our events, at least our big events.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And there's a cost associated with it, but it's pretty minimal for I think the quality of service that would provide.
I think it's worth it because what happens, and passing out the flyers is a nice community touch, but sometimes, some of our street captains, they're out of town or they're not
Right.
available, and so then we scramble, and then some streets might not get to deliver, then someone might get offended, like, why wasn't my street? And it's just a simple, like, oh, someone wasn't able to do it, and so this will be a
Right.
great equalizing
Yeah.
way to get the word out.
Right.
From.
And the point of
office,
all of that is to say,
Yeah,
if we were going to evolve the street captains into serving more of a friendly role,
Yeah.
maybe, a couple streets deciding that they're gonna host their own parties this,
One point on
next
that,
year.
yeah.
That could be, that's your whole job this year is just throw a barbecue,
Yeah.
in the
We
summer or
won't
something.
expect you to pass out flyers.
Yeah,
anymore.
they were really helpful for some of them.
Yeah.
Were
Oh, so
really
great,
helpful
yeah.
for the Night of Lights.
Yes, yeah.
Because and it, and some of it's like,
Yeah.
that depends on how active a street is or
Right,
how
yeah, of
available
course.
the street captain is
Mhm.
at that period, it
Mhm.
really, there's all kinds of things that come into play. But, it's hard for this committee to know everyone on every street. So
Sure,
that's
yeah.
one thing that we don't want to lose is that, like, that person kind of who
Yeah.
stays abreast of moves on the street and what's happening and who can help out that
Yeah.
way.
Should we have the street captains come to these meetings once in a while too?
Well, they're
maybe?
always invited. I
Oh,
think.
but they're not literally invited because I've never gotten a specific
Oh,
invitation.
yeah.
That's true.
I
We
mean-
we have started including them in the volunteer appreciation event that we had on Saturday.
How did that go, by the way?
It was really lovely, and Katie made a speech, and
Oh.
On the fly. it was
everyone
amazing.
said, "Oh, are you running for Congress next?" What's that?" And yeah, and we
You do, a neighbor down the road is running.
and we had a
Neighbors running?
I'll talk to you about
Oh.
it after.
and we had a better turnout than we've had in the last couple of years, I think.
Yay, nice turnout.
I think some
Yeah.
consistency and just doing it regardless of who's coming is kind of paying off in the
Yeah.
long run. And it was lovely. So, yeah. And I do think like engaging the street captains that we do have, or the good ones, it would be a good idea.
Yeah.
But also about half of them, well, we have multiple streets that are vacant
Oh.
and we have multiple
Mhm.
streets that don't actually respond to emails or show up for anything.
it's
So
a Combination of
and part of it's
issues,
because we
yeah.
haven't been like actively reappointing them every year. So we
Yeah.
haven't really been checking in with them and asking them like, do you want to be a street captain? Like, so maybe
Yeah.
there's a way to evolve it into like having our, CEC helpers, that are street captains, but really they're, holding down a part of the neighborhood. And
Mhm.
as far as like keeping track of who moves in and out of the village, very few of them actually do that. That's really falls on the village office.
Well, by the way, I need to start sending you, because through the unofficial listserv, sometimes we
Ah.
get words of people who are moving in, so I need
That'd be
to
perfect. Yep.
forward that to you.
And we're tracking, we're tracking Zillow and all sorts of things to try to keep track of everyone that's moving in and out. So,
Okay.
yeah. And then there's also people who request moving trucks, but then sometimes people don't request moving trucks and I see a moving truck on the street and I'm like, what's happening?
Right.
I gotta run over there and
Yeah.
I'm interrogating the driver of a moving truck. Like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just delivering a washer. It's fine. So it's a constant, trying to keep track. And summer is especially kind of wild because that's
Yeah.
kind of when the moves really pick up.
Right, yeah.
So, but especially when new people move in the village, that's the people that I want to like meet. So if you meet somebody
Who's new.
who's new, we need their information. I need their full name of every adult in the house. I need an email address and preferably a phone number for every single person. So that's a constant,
And usually the street
constant job.
captain takes the little bag and.
We do have the street
and
captain deliver the
yeah,
bag.
to a new family
That could
or
also,
resident.
and when there's not a street captain, I'll do it,
Right.
or we'll have Keith do it. Me and Keith
Right.
will do it on
Keith
our
is
walk on
on
a
the-
Friday, or,
Yeah.
and I would actually like to start engaging the council members in some of those activities too.
Mhm.
It's nice to have
Those
a
are
little
nice
welcoming
things to do.
committee and people that go
Mhm.
by and, shake someone's hands and
Yeah.
kind of explain what we are.
Mhm.
A lot of people move here and have no concept of what a village
Yeah.
government is. So.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, that's something, I can't remember what conversation it was that I was having with somebody where someone was like, I didn't even know that the village did this. And, it's as an old timer, I have to remind myself that, we
Yeah.
need to keep refreshing information for people because we've had a lot of newcomers in the last 5 years.
Yeah, part of the new website too, I'm creating a page for frequently asked questions. I'm just gonna be adding to that. So every time I hear something like that, like, someone didn't know something, it's like, okay, let me make sure I have a little blurb on what that is and how it works and stuff, so that we can just use that as a reference page when we're trying to remember ourselves
Mhm.
or trying to tell new people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're very good at this job.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank
That's
you.
very nice.
We needed to hear that today.
No,
That was
really?
good. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's
You're on top of
it's
it
one of
all.
those days.
Yeah.
He is, It's
Yeah.
great.
Thank you. Yeah, it is true that you hear complaints and never are positive in this job, so I
Right.
do appreciate that.
Aww.
It's true.
Lots of people will
Growing
tell
a
you when they
fan
don't
group.
like the new speed bumps. Not many people tell you they like the new
Of
speed
course.
bumps. Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
you would, right.
Okay, now we're gonna move along here.
Enough of the
I think
niceties.
first of all, I wanna ask David if he has anything to add.
Oh, he's taking a break.
He's on mute.
Sorry, guys. I'm kind of on babysitting duty tonight,
Oh, that's
Just
okay.
doing a
wanna
couple
ask-
of things.
Yeah.
So no, really just a couple of thoughts. I mean, one, I don't think as a community we can over-index on events. I mean, I know not all the new ones we added this year were a success, but I did kind of like the idea of, 10, 11 months out of the year that we were giving, residents of VMA, an option to do something as a community. So I thought that was great. And so I think there's a little work to be done moving forward about what kind of events and stuff. But, I look forward to, keeping it up. And in terms of, soliciting feedback and stuff from everybody, I think that's a great idea. I think that we can always be kind of better and more inclusive, right? I think we lead with inquiry with the other 295 households that aren't represented here at this meeting, and go from there. But I think that's it. I think it was a good year. I thought we got started a little slow after we kind of coalesced as a committee, but we did a lot in a very short period of time in terms of kind of identifying new events, getting money approved for them, scheduling them. So I think all in all, it was a highly successful year.
Absolutely. I mean, if I were grading, I would say A for ambition, first
Absolutely.
of all. And this is a very successful
I think so
committee. I
too.
mean, you
Everything
can't
got
always,
executed well,
yeah,
right?
you
You
can't
can't
always go
guarantee
by the
attendance.
numbers
Yeah.
in attendance because it was well thought out. It was a terrific idea and event. It just, we live and learn from these things. And I know all the things I've planned in my life. I feel like the best months are really like November and March because that's like the least competition on the calendar, but even still things come up. So I thought it was like, A for ambition, effort. I thought it was a very successful year. I thought it was a great event. Like when I rolled up there, I only stopped by with my family, but first of all, it was this year-round skating is like a new concept to me. The place was just hopping
It
with little Peggy Flemings all in the like taking their little lessons and stuff. Like it was so fun. And I thought it was a great idea and a great find. It just didn't work out for a lot of people, but these were great ideas. So was the Avalon. So the Night of Lights was beautiful, literally and figuratively, and so I think you all did a phenomenal job. So, I mean, keep the ideas coming is what I'm saying, but we learned from this. We learned from, old vendors we use. Someone was great, someone tanked. We just make a note of it and we just move on. And so, but generally you're providing a wonderful service to people. You gave them this nice invitation. I think you all have done a great job. So I just want to say that. Don't get caught up by the numbers. It was a great effort. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When is the
So
fiscal
just
year?
I'm sorry. So just a quick other thing, because unfortunately I'm gonna have to run here soon because I've got bed duty, and I think if I leave, we're no longer at a quorum. So I just wanted to make sure that I put that out there. But Michael, the 4th of July event is the next one up, and we're clearly not going to meet as a committee between now and then. But please, I mean, I've signed a virtual list about volunteering to help. So please reach out to myself or anyone else on the committee, who wants to help and help coordinate the event, and I'd be super willing to help. But I think that's it. I've really enjoyed serving, and I look forward to doing it again next year.
Awesome.
Great. And you all,
Love to hear that,
did
David.
the meeting, you approved the meeting minutes, right?
They haven't approved the meeting
Oh,
minutes.
okay.
from
That was the
last
only
meeting.
quorum thing you had to
Okay.
do. but-
You want to,
I was gonna suggest that.
Okay,
that we-
since he's got to jump off.
and I can
yeah.
just mention something real quick, David, just to close out the last conversation, I'll send you some examples of some other end of the year reports. Was that a commitment for you to write it for this committee,
That's
or?
fine.
Yeah, if you go ahead and send it to me, I'll write something.
Terrific.
Thank you,
We'll give
David.
Everything you need, that's fine.
Yeah, do you need input on different events though? So everybody has a
Yeah.
little piece.
Yeah, you can make it easy. Give
Send a
everyone
note, send an
paragraph.
email out to everybody on the committee asking everyone to write, like,
Delegate
assign
some.
us, like you write a little paragraph on this and you write a paragraph on that.
And then he can just
We can,
combine.
yeah, you don't have to do it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of the feedback was right here in this conversation.
Right,
I think there's
right.
been a lot of stuff, so just summarizing it,
That
and
comes
it doesn't have to
together.
be a big undertaking,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
something.
Yeah,
Sure.
totally.
And then for the 4th of July party, I do have a sign up sheet. I'm asking everyone to sign up on this committee for one shift of volunteering. I have set up from 1 to 2:30. Again, the event goes from 2 to 5. Event management, floating, talking to people, dealing with problems during the event from 2:30 to 4:30, and then cleanup starting at 4:30 and going to 6:30 or until we're done.
I think I have to sign up for cleanup because I think I'm away until that afternoon.
Oh,
So I better do the
where are you
last.
coming in from?
How about the movie?
The movie nights, we have a date. The first one is, well, that's technically in the next fiscal year. So this committee will be done as of June 30th. I think I
That's
heard
what
you
I was-
started asking
yeah.
that question. And then I'll be meeting with the new council, saying goodbye to Katie, of course. Thank you for your service.
Oh, fine.
And then I'll be signing, the new council members will be swearing in on July 1.
Mhm.
And then we're going to try to issue the call for volunteers as fast as possible. So you'll be seeing that coming out hopefully in July. And
Yeah, because you want to get them meeting.
yeah, which means this happens every year, which means the movie nights ends up being
Can't you do the call for volunteers now? You have to wait till the end of the year to
Yeah,
call
wait
for
till the
volunteers, even
fiscal
though they're not
year.
going to start yet?
Well, who's putting a call out for volunteers? It's supposed to be the new council making the
Oh,
call.
I see, I
Just-
see.
And there's a
City
question about 2
council.
task forces as well, that they have
So
to,
there's
the
some
new council has
legislative
to.
things the
My only
council
thought
has
on
to
that
do.
was if
Yeah.
there's any way to, in advance, reach out to Abby and see if she'd be willing to show
Ah, yes.
anything again
Oh,
this
yeah.
year, that would be so
Absolutely.
nice.
Yeah. And I don't, and this committee doesn't have to be official in order for us to work
Oh,
on something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that. So
yeah.
feel free to loop me in on an email, or we can just, or
I can reach out, or
Yeah.
if you'd like to, if you feel
Yeah,
like I
let's talk
can't,
about that.
wherever you want.
So we have two potential dates. We know we want to do the one in the end of August. That's
That's
Labor Day
Sunday,
weekend.
Labor
That's the
Day,
one we
Sunday
always
night, yeah,
do.
Sunday night of Labor Day
I'm
weekend.
kind of leaning towards recommending us not doing the second one because the attendance has been very low
Early
and
August.
summer schedules are always very hard. And weather conditions and all sorts of stuff. So anyways, that's
I
a,
think that's why we chose to do a second one though, is because if it rains on the one night you do it in the year, it's a huge bummer.
right,
I mean,
right.
in
What if you did it in September, like flip flopped it later? into
And
March?
what we actually, what this committee picked as as potential dates were the
August,
first
uh,
week of
yeah,
August
something
and then the
like
last
that.
week of
Week in
August.
August.
So that's
Yeah.
2 movie nights in August when none of us are here, including me.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so there's already some problems with the scheduling. So
Okay.
it's
the Sunday before Labor Day weekend is August. The Sunday
Correct,
night of
yes.
Labor Day weekend is in
Yeah.
August.
Yes,
Because it's.
correct. It's the Sunday
I wonder
before.
on the calendar.
But it shouldn't be.
or the
It's-
Saturday.
It should be the Sunday of Labor Day weekend, which should be
Labor Day is the
September.
first then.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Oh.
it's
It's
really
like August
early.
30th is
Mhm.
the date, I believe.
August
I don't have it.
31st, yeah.
But anyways, back to
Yeah.
back to the 4th of July party. We're all good. I have the flyers ready and I have sign up sheet for everybody. Susan wasn't able to be here tonight, but already signed up herself up for 2 shifts, but I'm only asking, please only sign up for 1 shift because I want to hold you accountable for what you signed up for.
Yeah.
Just pick one and
Here, I'm so sorry.
you're one
But
of
you
my-
know,
one of my good
normally I'm,
volunteers.
but I know, I'm always there, but it's my wedding anniversary.
Oh.
So I'm not there
Well,
this year.
congratulations.
Well, that's just like summer events.
Where are
are
you
tough.
going?
I
You going
mean-
Special trip or something?
We're just going away for the weekend, not far, so.
That's lovely.
As you should, that's fine.
So
You
you
want to do
get,
cleanup duty?
I'm gonna sign up for the whole thing because I
No.
mean, I'm there. I gotta be there.
No, you're not. You're
No,
not there. You need a
don't say.
break. You need to go work in the middle. You need to.
I've never done that. You're putting me in a position
Well,
I've
you
never
could-
been in
you
before.
could still sign-
That's
you
right.
have to
So,
sign.
you know, I'm gonna
so
be
sign up
there.
for 1, maybe 2, but not the whole thing. I think is
Yeah,
the
you
point.
can't do it.
How
all-
about just
Because
2?
remember, Keith, how hot it was last year?
Thank you.
Well,
And
and
you
and that's the
were
whole
getting
point.
so
that's the whole
hot.
point of
Yeah,
having a
no.
really good active committee is you don't have to do everything, Keith.
Okay.
I'm trying to
You've
protect
been
you from
spoiling
yourself.
everybody.
All right,
You're
you
spoiling
convinced
everyone.
I want you on cleanup too because I want your trash can.
Oh, so that's the ulterior.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you should also enjoy the party, Keith. You're always working the party. You
I
get to
know,
sit
but-
down and have a cold
Okay, so do
drink.
we want
The
Yeah.
to?
other thing is I'm keeping my eye on the radar. I'm always worried about the weather.
Yes.
Do we want to approve the minutes before we?
Susan just
Before-
wrote she wants to do setup and cleanup. Did you see this?
I saw that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm just
you
seeing
saw
it now.
that, Yeah.
She signed up for 2 before I mentioned it, but I responded saying I'm asking everyone to sign up for 1 shift. David, did you want to try to make a motion to approve the minutes before you drop off?
Yeah, it's a great idea. So I motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting. Is there a second in the room?
Second it. That was Barbara.
Motion passes.
Woo.
Yep.
I'm gonna sign up for the cleanup.
Thank you.
That was easy.
Well, I already signed up for cleanup, but
Okay.
We can have multiple people on
Yeah.
jobs. That's great.
Probably
Many
reach
hands make
out,
light
Yeah,
work.
because Susan fatigue was gonna help.
And Aaron and I will be there as well, so
Oh, yeah.
everything's gonna be
Thank
get done.
you.
Sorry. No, it's okay. Congratulations.
exactly. How many years?
I have counted.
Yeah.
She just knows that's when it is.
Exactly. I know when it's time to take some time.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I think there's no public comments, so that's the agenda.
Yeah.
What about the minutes? We didn't do the minutes.
It just happened while you were doing it. Did you want to say something?
No.
David motioned and Barbara seconded.
Oh, I did miss that.
Are you in favor?
I'm in
I think
favor.
they're
Okay,
all in
great.
favor.
It's
Yay.
unanimous.
Yeah,
Great.
Yeah, and I don't see anybody else. for
Well, that
public
was a
comment.
very efficient meeting, you guys.
Yeah.
Thank
Great
you.
job,
Hey,
yeah.
great job for the whole year. I mean, this is
Everyone.
probably it for
Honestly,
you all, so.
yes. I mean, yeah, terrific job.
When's it
Yeah.
gonna stop raining?
Yes. Keith,
Oh,
when
think
is it
so
gonna
too,
snow?
good, so we can
Now
actually.
you know how I come up with these forecasts, but you know, a lot of times, this is an interesting thing, because you'll see this on your phone. But a lot of times, because the bottom layer of the atmosphere needs to get saturated before it can precipitate. Sometimes that doesn't happen. It stays aloft, it stays topside, the rain, snow, it's they say it's gonna start in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So, but they do a very good job, you know,
What did they
the
say?
technology today is unbelievable, it really is.
It really, yeah.
And hopefully it's gonna be able to save a lot of lives. I mean, we've got the big problem right now with the people with the weather service that have been laid off, and we're talking about lead time. We're
Are
talking
we,
about,
have we adjourned the meeting?
yeah, I think, I seconded the motion, didn't I?
Okay.
You know, we're offline.
Good night, David.
Good
Good night,
Bye,
everybody.
David.
Mm.